The BAE 146 has recently been released by Just Flight. This video is going to focus on some of the features this airplane has to offer in terms of realism. And be sure to check out the Pilot Club after watching this video. The Pilot Club is a great flight sim community with giveaways. The club consists of over 1,000 members, including real-life pilots, air traffic controllers. They even have a training program, group flights, and much more. Oh, and they also have daily aviation quizzes on their Discord server if you're into that kind of thing. And for the record, I was not paid to make this endorsement. I did it on a voluntary basis to help a friend of the channel. One of the first great features of this airplane, it has an electronic flight bag, and in that electronic flight bag, it has a world map. So you can see your location at any time, but if you want a little bit more detail, you can also link a Navigraph account to the electronic flight bag and access charts. Such as this chart here, the ILS into Chicago O'Hare. Another cool feature about it, that chart can be zoomed in and you can manipulate the chart, moving it around the screen wherever you like. Aircraft states for starting can also be selected along with announcements and even opening and closing doors. The electronic flight bag even has a notepad for copying clearances, taxi instructions, or if your spouse asks you to do something while you're playing flight sim, that could go there too. The settings tab will also allow the user to change the theme or adjust the brightness as well. And last of all, a SimBrief account can also be linked. The tablet does have a lot of great added features, but if for some reason you don't want it, you can just shut it off by pressing the home button there. Or if you want to make it disappear, press the white placard and it disappears. And one of my most favorite features, this airplane has a very basic old-fashioned panel. No glass cockpit. It's just basic, fun, and easy to fly. It also has a takeoff warning system. In this case, the parking brake is set as the throttle is advanced. You get a configuration annunciator message and a master warning light. The air brakes are also on the takeoff warning system. If the air brakes are extended for takeoff, which they normally shouldn't be, the master warning will also be given for that as well. The same thing will happen when the pitch trim is outside the green arc. And it will also do the same thing for when the flaps are not where they're supposed to be for takeoff. This is a great feature. Both of the jet aircraft I fly in the real world have takeoff warning systems with these similar items. There are also various airspeed callouts from the co-pilot.
Speed alive, both sides. 80 knots cross checked. V1. Rotate. V2. Positive rate of climb, gear.
They've also incorporated the FMS from the working title CJ4, which actually represents the Collins FMS 3000. If you're new to this FMS, click the link up above, which will take you to a video on the CJ4 programming a route from point A to point B. And that part will be identical, the only difference, this one does not have performance. The Wilkes-Barre 4 arrival with the Jamestown transition has just been added into the FMS. You can go to the electronic flight bag, use the Navigraph, and pull up that chart and review it before you even take off and make sure all the waypoints match. And if you're the person out there wondering if the tablet can be rotated, it can. And here's another thing that a lot of jet airplanes will do. Notice on the tail of the airplane, the air brake is extended. And we'll say it's out because we're doing a steep approach into London City, or we're going too fast and need to get slowed down to ref speed. And we notice an airplane in front of us and we need to do a go around. When the throttle is advanced, the air brake will retract all by itself. There is also a brake temperature gauge. This airplane also has brake fans. It has brake fans because the brakes get very hot on landing and quick turns need to be done. Those brakes need to be cooled down in order to take back off. As the airplane is accelerated down the runway, the brakes were applied and you can see the brake temperature increasing. Once the aircraft comes to a stop, the brake temperature starts to reduce. You'll see it around 298 degrees. Right there, they're actually 300 and it starts to drop. And one of my favorite features, but as the weight changes, the card with the V speeds for takeoff and landing actually change based on weight. And you can see all the speeds getting slower as weight is reduced. And a very small item, but a nice feature, the sun visor. It actually moves. You can move it all the way along the track on the left side and all the way to in front of the pilot. And to remove the sun visor, simply click on it and it will go away like that. If you want to watch the airplane do an ILS approach, stay tuned. I will let that happen. You can watch it without me talking. Pay attention to the callouts from the co-pilot. He will say things like localizers alive, localizer captured, glide slopes alive, glide slope captured, etc. And there's also a master warning system test feature that if that button is pressed, it will also light up all the annunciators on the annunciator panel. As you can see there, I accidentally pressed it, zooming in and out, and instead of trying to turn it off, I just continued and flew the airplane. There are a lot of features of this airplane. Those are some of my favorites. If you already have this airplane, let me know down in the comments what some of your favorite features are that I may have missed. And also, just for fun, feel free to rate my landing.
Established on the ILS.
Glide slope.
Ground idle. Brake pressure seen. knots. 60 knots.